Welcome to I Caught It on Audio. This is This Song Good episode 90. Michael Hutchence, Slide Away.
Welcome to I Caught It on Audio. In today's episode, we are continuing our Is This Song Good series, and this is our last episode in the posthumously released songs that we're doing. We've got Zach's pick. Zach, why don't you tell us about it?
This is the lead singer from INXS, Michael Hutchence. He started working on his solo album in 1995 and then tragically committed suicide in 1997. And then people involved with this solo album decided that they wanted to try and still release it. So they were finishing up all the things that were not quite finished, and they decided to release the single Slide Away, which features Bono from U2. And the I think both the single and the album came out in about 1999.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I remember it being on the radio quite a bit. And I remember really liking it and going out and buying the album when it came out. And the album is pretty good. I like it through and through. And I really liked this song when it first came out. And then listening to it now and getting deeper in it, I think there are some problems with it. It still has that sort of bittersweet goodbye of the guy who was so great in INXS. But I kind of start to feel like it was not finished when they got a hold of it and they brought Bono in to finish it. And so to me, it feels more of like an afterthought, more of a Bono song, if you will. Because I think Hutchence only really sings the chorus and I think the opening first verse, and then the rest is pretty much just Bono territory. And I think the instrumentation is fine. It sounds sort of like a poppy kind of a little bit electronic. I think it lacks the good qualities of a true good song. So let's hear what you guys have to think. Dave, why don't you go first?
I didn't realize that Bono was part of this project until today when I did a little bit of research on the details of the song. But when I first listened to it, my first thought was, this feels like a post U2 pop U2 song. Pop being the album Pop. And sure enough, it very much is that, because Bono is kind of at the forefront. It's more U2 song or a Bono song than a Michael Hutchence song. It feels like it's not bad, but it's not a song that I feel like, oh, I really want to put that song on. And yeah, I understand the desire to release material unfinished material that artists put out, but I don't know that this one needed to be released. I don't know that it brought anything to his legacy, to Hutchence' legacy. So it just kind of, it wasn't bad either. It just was kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not a song that I would ever thumbs down or anything like that, but I wouldn't go out of my way to go find it. So I don't know. Dan, what did you think of this one?
Well, I didn't realize it initially, but I have heard this before because of the YouTube connection. Back in the late 90s, I'd heard it, and it didn't make a huge impression on me then. Listening to it now again, 25 years later, I had the same thought that you guys had, which is it doesn't feel finished. I feel like the Hutchence vocal feels like a sample, which is a little bit weird because it's a full, long chorus, but it feels like they had one chorus take and one verse take, and they're like, all right, we're getting to make this into a song, so we'll just dump the chorus again when we need to. We'll just toss it in there, but it almost doesn't feel lifelike. It feels sort of static. I don't think it's a bad song. I think it's fine. It sounds pretty dated from that era, but I don't think what Bono does is particularly great. I probably listened to it at the time because of Bono and the U2 connection, but it didn't I didn't even remember the title.
Yeah.
When I heard the title, I was like, oh, that must be one of the other songs. I didn't really think in those terms, like, oh, I wonder if that's the U2 one, because I just kind of forgot about it. And I would say it's just fine. It does feel unfinished. And it feels like, Dave, you mentioned it sounds a little bit like pop because of the electronica stuff, the U2 album Pop. It is fairly poppy, I suppose, in a sort of melancholy way.
Yeah.
But it feels like an unfinished version of that, though. Like
Exactly.
the beat is pretty spare. There's not a ton going on, so it's fine. I recognized it as it was playing before Bono started singing. I was like, I feel like I know this song. And then when Bono came in, I was like, oh yeah, this must be that. Then I looked it up, and I don't have any big problems with the song. I don't even have a problem with them releasing unfinished stuff posthumously for people, unless they specifically said they didn't want it done. But, if there's no known wishes, then I'm fine with them tossing it out there, because that's it's more of the person out in the world. So I don't have any issue with them releasing it on an album. Now, I do have a question, Zach. Do the rest of the songs on this album, you've spent time with them, do they feel more finished?
Yeah.
Is this a bit of an outlier?
Yeah, definitely. And given the fact that he had started working on it in 1995, 2 years before he died, there was plenty of time in there for him to finish quite a few of the songs. So yeah, there's some really good ones in there, like Put the Pieces Back Together, All I'm Saying, Flesh and Blood. This one, however, and this is the last track on the album too, which it kind of makes me think that this was sort of, because of the content of the lyrics and what it was sort of trying to say. I think they thought, well, let's end this album with a sort of final punctuation mark with Bono kind of saying goodbye almost. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
They were friends before he died, so it makes sense that they would put him on there.
Yeah.
But it's also the only collaboration on the album. So this very, very much feels like maybe we can finish this song. Let's get someone who knows him, who's famous, who's, a good singer. Let's see if we can make something out of it. And it's fine. I didn't dislike it. Every time I've heard it, I've been like, this is fine. But it also didn't make me want to go buy the Michael Hutchence, solo album either. It didn't really get me thrilled back in the 90s or now.
Well, it got me thrilled, and and I loved the heck out of it at the time when it came out. And I did buy the album, and I really enjoyed listening to it throughout. But as time goes on, I think it hasn't aged well, and I think as far as posthumously released things go, I think this one is not such a great one, just because it doesn't feel like some of these other songs that we've done through this series, where they had the sort of fully finalized thing. They just had to kind of clean it up and tweak it a little bit, whether it was Jimi Hendrix or the Tom Petty sort of demo, but really good, good quality demo.
Yeah.
And even the Beatles one, I think, on the Beatles one, that one is probably a little bit closer to this type of song, where they had parts of it and they had things of it, but it took technology to kind of get them to sort of finalize it and really get it to where it needed to be. But that still felt like it was a fully formalized song, even with the sort of lower quality of the John Lennon parts that were recorded on a cassette tape, and I think with this, it just feels like, to me, it has the potential for a really great Michael Hutchence song, but what it ends up being is sort of a mediocre Bono song.
Yeah. And I think you're probably right, Dan. This is kind of supposed to be a punctuation mark on Michael Hutchence's career, and, bringing in a friend and, superstar, mega superstar. Nobody was bigger than Bono in 99. To help finish that out was probably the right idea. And honestly, had Bono not been on the track, I don't think this gets released as a single.
Agreed. Well, and also it's almost not a song. I mean, I don't know if they had other verses,
right?
But it feels like this is all they had, and it's half a song maybe.
It's definitely an idea for a song that they finished as best they could without the original writer. All right. So first, is this song good?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree. It's just not quite on that same level. It feels incomplete. How about you, Dan?
The song is okay. I don't know if that qualifies as good, but
It's not a bad song, but I wouldn't say it's good.
yeah, there's stuff I like in it, but it has a sense of incompleteness.
Now, of the 6 posthumously released songs, just a refresher, that was the Beatles Now and Then, Nirvana, You Know You're Right, Jimi Hendrix, Dolly Dagger, Tom Petty, Harry Green, Chris Cornell, Patience, and now Michael Hutchence, Slide Away. Which one do you think is the best?
I think I'm going with Nirvana.
How about you, Dan?
That was my gut thought as I was listening to those. I could say the Petty song or even the Chris Cornell song because that felt like it was sort of perfectly realized.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Nirvana one is like a kick-ass Nirvana song, you know, like it's great, a great song, period, regardless of it being released posthumously or not. So I would say the Nirvana song.
Yeah, I love that Harry Green. I like most of these songs, but Harry Green was really good, and it was a great find, and it was a good Tom Petty song. The Beatles Now and Then was a perfect way to end the Beatles, if you will. A goodbye to final goodbye to John Lennon and all that stuff, and a technical marvel. But yeah, when that Nirvana song came on the first time, I was like, oh, this is Nirvana at its core, and I agree with you guys. That was probably my favorite one.
And the beauty part about it is that the way they always recorded things is it was, even if it was in early stages of recording or whatever, it was final enough for their sound. Right. Like that's just the way that Kurt Cobain kind of did it, and so it meshed and fit with everything else that they've ever done, I think.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our posthumously, if you will, released season here. Next, we're going to do another Oscars special where we're going to look at the 2024 Oscars Best Song list and have a talk about the 5 songs and which one we think should win the best song at the next Academy Awards. Tell us what you think about Michael Hutchence or any of the songs for that matter in the comments. Is this song good? Like and subscribe if you're into that kind of thing. And if you want more content like this, you can find everything we've done at 64 Tacos. And if you really liked it, go to buymeacoffee.com/64tacos where you can buy us a taco. Thanks for listening.
I caught it on audio.
Pop, pop, pop,
Pop, pop,
pop, pop, pop,
pop, pop, pop, pop, pop, pop, pop, pop,
pop, pop, pop.
pop.